The grand ballroom of Willowmere Manor shimmered under the glow of a dozen crystal chandeliers, each one a prism refracting light across the polished marble floors. It was October 12, 2024, and the air buzzed with the anticipation of 300 guests, Boston's elite, dressed in their finest black tie attire, mingling beneath cascading arrangements of white lilies and silver-dusted greenery. The string quartet in the corner played a delicate rendition of Vivaldi, their notes weaving through the hum of laughter and clinking champagne flutes. To anyone watching, this was the pinnacle of elegance, the celebration of a union between two prominent families, the Warrens and the Hadleys. For me, Abigail Warren, it was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My wedding gown, a bespoke creation of ivory lace and silk, hand-stitched over 9 months by a reclusive designer in Paris, hugged my frame like a second skin, its train pooling behind me as I stood near the towering cake, a 5-tiered masterpiece adorned with edible gold leaf. The 5-carat emerald-cut diamond on my left hand caught the light as I lifted my champagne flute, the weight of it a quiet reminder of the promises exchanged just hours ago beneath the estate's rose-laden arbor. My husband, Nathan Hadley, was across the room, his broad shoulders cutting a sharp silhouette in his tailored tuxedo as he laughed with his father, a silver-haired patriarch whose law firm dominated Boston's legal landscape. Everything was perfect. Too perfect, perhaps. I didn't see her at first. The woman in the crimson dress slipped through the double doors like a shadow cast against the festive glow, her presence so incongruous it took a moment for my brain to register her. Among the sea of muted blacks, creams, and pastels, she was a flaria-fitted gown that clung to her curves, dark hair tumbling in loose waves over her shoulders, ruby lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She held a champagne glass, plucked from a passing tray with the ease of someone who belonged, though I knew instantly she didn't. My stomach tightened, an instinct I couldn't name whispering that this was no ordinary gatecrasher. Nathan noticed her a heartbeat later. The color drained from his face so swiftly I thought he might collapse, his laughter dying mid-breath as he excused himself from his parents and strode toward her. I watched, frozen, as he intercepted her near the edge of the dance floor, his hand gripping her elbow in a way that was both urgent and familiar. Their conversation was hushed, too low for me to hear over the music, but the tension in his posture told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a stranger. This was someone he knew, someone he feared seeing here. I set my glass down, the delicate clink against the table lost in the din, and moved toward them. My heels clicked against the marble, each step steady despite the storm brewing inside me. Nathan saw me coming and turned, his expression shifting from panic to a forced calm that didn't fool me for a second. "Abigail," he said, his voice smooth but strained. "I was just..." "Introduce me," I cut in, my tone cool and even, betraying none of the chaos clawing at my chest. "This must be a friend of yours." The woman turned to face me fully, and up close she was striking late 20s, with high cheekbones and eyes that glittered with a calculating sharpness. She extended a manicured hand, her nails painted a deep scarlet to match her dress. "Serena Voss," she said, her voice carrying a faint lilt, as if she were savoring the moment. "I work with Nathan at Hadley, Pearson Stone." I took her hand, noting the coolness of her skin, the expensive bracelet glinting at her wrist. "Abigail Warner Hadley, I suppose, as of 2 hours ago." I glanced at Nathan, whose jaw tightened imperceptibly. "How do you two know each other?" Before he could answer, Serena's smile widened, a predator baring its teeth. "Oh, we know each other very well, don't we, Nate?" The nickname hit me like a slap, intimate, personal, a dagger slipped between my ribs. No one called him Nate. No one except, apparently, her. "Abigail," Nathan started, his voice low, pleading, "let's discuss this somewhere private." "Why?" I asked, my composure a thin veneer over the rage simmering beneath. "Serena's come all this way to our wedding. She clearly has something to say." I turned to her, meeting her gaze head-on. "Don't you?" Her eyes flickered with surprise. She expected me to crumble, to dissolve into tears or hysterics. Instead, she found herself facing a wall of calm resolve, and it threw her off balance, if only for a moment. She recovered quickly, taking a deliberate sip of her champagne before delivering the blow. "I've been sleeping with Nathan for the last 18 months, she announced, her voice pitched just loud enough to catch the attention of the nearest guests. "He never loved you. This wedding..." It's a sham for his career, for his family's expectations. He was with me last night, by the way. Said it was his final taste of freedom before the ball and chain. Isn't that right, Nate? The string quartet faltered, a single discordant note hanging in the air as the room seemed to tilt. I looked at Nathan, searching his face for a denial, a spark of outrage, anything to contradict her words. Instead, I saw guilt, raw and undeniable, etched into the lines of his features. Abigail, he whispered, reaching for my hand. It's complicated. I stepped back out of his reach, the pieces of our life together snapping into place with brutal clarity. The late nights at the office, the sudden business trips after his promotion, the way he'd grown distant during the wedding planning, brushing off decisions with vague assurances that he trusted my taste. I thought it was stress, ambition, love. It had been none of those things. How long? I asked, my voice hollow, cutting through the murmurs rippling around us. Nathan swallowed hard, his eyes darting to Serena, then back to me. 20 months, he admitted, barely audible. 20 months. More than half our engagement. While I'd been choosing invitations and tasting cakes, he'd been building a secret life with her. Serena stood beside him, triumph radiating from her like heat, oblivious to the fact that she'd just ignited a fire she couldn't control. Because Willowmere Manor wasn't just our wedding venue. It was mine. My grandfather had left it to me 3 years ago. A sprawling estate on the outskirts of Boston that had been in the Warren family for generations. Every chandelier, every blade of grass, every silver spoon circulating among the guests belonged to me, a detail neither Nathan nor Serena knew. They were about to find out. I turned to Nathan, a cold calm settling over me like armor. 20 months. Interesting. Around the time you pushed for us to book Willowmere for the wedding, wasn't it? He nodded, confusion creasing his brow. You loved this place. I thought it would make you happy. It does, I said, lifting my champagne flute and taking a measured sip. Do you know what else makes me happy? Owning it. My grandfather willed it to me outright. Everything here, the champagne Serena's drinking, the chairs you've been sitting on, it's all mine. Their stunned silence was deafening. Nathan's mouth opened, then closed, while Serena's smugness faltered, her glass pausing halfway to her lips. Abigail, Nathan finally managed. What does that have to do with? Everything, I interrupted, my voice steady as steel. Because in about 30 seconds, I'm having security escort you both out of my property. Serena laughed, a sharp, forced sound. You can't do that. This is your wedding. What will people think? They'll think what I tell them to think, I replied, glancing at the guests now watching with rapt attention. His colleagues from the firm, his parents with their old money arrogance, my friends and family who trusted him as I had. They'll think my husband of 2 hours has been having an affair for nearly 2 years, and that his mistress crashed our wedding to gloat. Nathan's face went ashen. Abigail, you're not thinking clearly. Let's talk this through. Think about what this will do to my career. I am thinking clearly, I said, raising a hand to signal Marcus, the head of security who'd served my family since I was a child. For the first time in 20 months, actually. Marcus approached, his broad frame cutting through the crowd. Miss Abigail? Please escort Mr. Hadley and Ms. Voss off the premises, I instructed. They're no longer welcome. You can't do this. Nathan hissed, panic rising. Think about what you're throwing away. I slipped the diamond ring from my finger and pressed it into his palm, the metal warm against his clammy skin. I'm not throwing away anything of value. You did that 20 months ago. Marcus and another guard flanked them as I turned to the nearest guests, my voice carrying across the now hushed ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have an announcement. The celebration will continue, but it's no longer a wedding reception. Consider it a party for new beginnings, mine specifically. Murmurs erupted as Nathan and Serena were led toward the exit, his protests fading into the night air. My best friend Lila appeared at my side, her hand on my shoulder. Abigail, what's happening? Why are they taking Nathan away? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. It seems I married a man who's been cheating on me for nearly 2 years. His mistress just crashed our wedding to rub it in my face. The gasp spread like wildfire. Lila's eyes widened, but before she could respond, I gestured for her to follow me. Get me Victor Grayson. Victor was my grandfather's attorney, a shrewd, silver-haired man who'd overseen the transfer of Willowmere to my name. He was also conveniently a guest tonight. As Lila went to fetch him, I stepped to the center of the ballroom, signaling the quartet to pause. The microphone awaited, and I gripped it with a steadiness that surprised even me. Thank you all for coming tonight. I began, my voice clear despite the adrenaline surging through me. As some of you may have seen, I've just learned that my ex-husband now, has been unfaithful for the past 20 months. I understand this puts many of you in an awkward position, especially those who work with Nathan at Hadley, Pierce & Stone. You're welcome to stay and enjoy the evening. The food's paid for. The band's here, the champagne's excellent, or leave if you prefer. Either way, I understand. The room buzzed with shock, but I held my ground, meeting sympathetic and curious gazes alike. What I won't do is hide in shame or pretend this didn't happen. Nathan made his choice. Now I'm making mine. Victor approached with Lila, his expression a mix of concern and quiet resolve. Abigail, he said softly, Lila briefed me. Shall we discuss this privately? Yes, I replied, handing the microphone to the DJ. The estate office. We slipped down a private corridor to the office my grandfather had used to manage Willowmere, a room of dark wood, leather-bound ledgers, and the faint scent of cigar smoke that lingered even years after his passing. I kicked off my heels and sank into the oversized chair behind the desk, the familiarity grounding me. Start talking, Victor, I said, folding my hands. Where do I stand legally? He settled into the opposite chair, his demeanor professional but warm. The prenup is ironclad. Your grandfather insisted on it. Nathan signed it, acknowledging that all property you owned prior to the marriage remains yours. Willowmere was transferred to you 3 years ago, well before today. It's untouchable. However, since you're technically married, we should file for an annulment immediately. Fraud and misrepresentation are clear grounds, given what's transpired. I nodded, a lump rising in my throat. He was with her last night, Victor. The night before our wedding. His eyes softened. I'm so sorry, Abigail. Your grandfather would have had him strung up by now. That almost drew a smile. Tobias Warren had been a titan, ruthless in business, fiercely protective of family. He'd raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 10, teaching me that power wasn't just wealth, but the ability to wield it with precision. What would he do? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Victor chuckled. He'd bury them both, figuratively, of course. Make them wish they'd never crossed a Warren. I stood, moving to the window overlooking the gardens where I'd said my vows beneath a floral arch that now felt like a cruel joke. Nathan doesn't just lose me. This could tank his partnership bid at the firm. The Hadleys care more about their reputation than anything else. True, Victor agreed. And Serena Voss? She miscalculated tonight. She thought she'd ruin you, not realizing who she was up against. I turned back, a plan forming. First, I want every influential person here to know exactly what Nathan Hadley is: a liar and a cheat. His colleagues, his clients, his family. Then I'll remind him what he's lost: not just a wife, but the Warren name and everything it represents. There's more at stake than you might realize, came a voice from the doorway. I turned to see Thomas Pierce, the senior partner at Hadley, Pierce & Stone, stepping inside. A tall man in his late 60s, with a weathered face and a reputation for integrity. He'd been a friend of my grandfather's for decades. Thomas, I said, nodding. I assume you saw what happened? Enough to grasp the situation, he replied, closing the door. Nathan was up for partnership next quarter. Was being the key word. I raised an eyebrow. That's decisive. He moved to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The Hadley name may grace our letterhead, but its legacy more than influence these days. The firm's reputation is what keeps clients loyal. What I saw out there isn't the judgment we expect from a partner. And Serena Voss? She'll be asked to resign by Monday, he said flatly. Fraternization is against policy, and making it public like this only seals her fate. I hadn't expected allies so swiftly, but it made sense. My grandfather's network ran deep, and I was inheriting it whether I'd planned to or not. Thank you, Thomas. He turned to face me. Tobias was a dear friend. He'd expect me to look out for you. For what it's worth, Abigail, I'm sorry. You deserved better. After he left, Victor and I drafted the annulment framework, agreeing to meet Monday to finalize it. What now? He asked as we prepared to return to the reception. I straightened my gown, checking my reflection in a small mirror. Tonight, I host the most unforgettable non-wedding reception Boston's ever seen. Tomorrow, I figure out how Nathan and Serena learn what it means to underestimate me. Sunlight filtered through the study's bay windows the next morning, October 13, 2024. I'd slept on the leather sofa rather than return to the back bay townhouse I'd shared with Nathan, unable to face the unpacked wedding gifts or the lingering trace of his cologne. My gown hung over a chair, a $60,000 relic of a day that never was. I'd changed into jeans and a sweater Lila had brought me, the casualness clashing with the room's antique elegance but suiting my raw emotional state. The reception had stretched past 2 a.m., morphing into a strange, cathartic celebration. Most of Nathan's family had fled after his ejection. His mother, Margaret Hadley, glaring at me like I'd torched her dynasty, but his younger brother, Ethan, had stayed, pulling me aside to mutter, "I always knew he wasn't good enough for you." My phone buzzed relentlessly, 18 missed calls from Nathan, texts swinging from groveling to furious. The latest, "We need to talk. This is insane. You can't end us over one mistake." One mistake. As if 20 months of lies were a single misstep. Elena, Willomere's housekeeper since my childhood, entered with coffee and croissants. "Miss Abigail, you need to eat," she said, setting the tray down. "Thank you, Elena. Any trouble this morning?" "Mr. Hadley tried the gates an hour ago," she replied. "Security turned him away as you instructed. And there are news vans at the entrance. Mr. Grayson Calathair's online chatter about last night." Of course there was. A Warren Hadley wedding imploding was prime gossip. I opened my laptop, and the social pages were ablaze. Someone had snapped a photo of Nathan and Serena being escorted out, his face twisted in anger, her red dress a vivid streak against the night. The image was viral, comments ranging from gleeful schadenfreude to unexpected support for me, especially from women who saw it as a tale of betrayal avenged. Warren's wrath was trending locally. My phone rang. "Lila. How are you?" she asked, her voice soft with worry. "Better than I should be," I admitted. "How's the PR front?" "I've got a statement ready, dignified, firm, doesn't let Nathan off the hook. Journalists are circling. Any red flags?" "Serena," I said, recalling her smugness. "She might try to spin her side." Lila snorted. "Let her. It'll backfire." "Oh, and Nathan's clients are calling my office trying to reach you." "Interesting," I mused. "They want to switch teams?" The Warren name trumps Hadley in this town, especially now. Shall I set up meetings? Wednesday, I decided. And let Nathan know his clients are shopping. She laughed. "You're ruthless when provoked." I forwarded an odd email to Victor sent at 4:17 a.m. From Serena, "Abigail, we should meet. There's more to Nathan than you now thinks before last night. It's not simple. I'm at the Seaport Lux until tomorrow, room 508. Serena. Was it a ploy? A trap? I asked Victor if it was worth pursuing. His reply, "Knowledge is leverage. Take security if you go." First, I had other moves. Logging into the Warren Properties Systeme family's luxury real estate empire, I canceled our honeymoon. 2 weeks at our Maui resort, another Warren asset. Then I booked the villa for Lila. She'd earned it. Nathan texted again. "At least let me get my stuff from the townhouse. I've got nothing but this damn tux." The townhouse was mine too, a gift from my grandfather at 24. He'd moved in after our engagement, his suits and watches cluttering my space. "Packed and delivered to your parents by week's end," I replied. "Try entering before then, and it's trespassing." His response, "This is ridiculous, Abigail. You can't erase us in a day. You did that over 20 months." I shot back, silencing my phone. Marcus knocked. "Mr. Hadley's at the south gate again, getting loud." "Show me," I said, following him to the security room. On the screen, Nathan's Porsche idled crookedly, his disheveled figure arguing with a guard. He looked wrecked still in yesterday's clothes, hair wild. He wants 5 minutes with you, Marcus said. 3, I countered. In the garden pavilion. If he strays, remove him. 20 minutes later I crossed the lawn to the pavilion. A marble structure framed by roses. Nathan paced inside, stopping when he saw me. Abigail, he began, stepping forward. Stay there, I said sharply. Your 3 minutes start now. This is crazy, he snapped, running a hand through his hair. We were married yesterday. We took vows. Vows you broke before you spoke them. I cut in. What do you want? To explain. Serena showing up was wrong, I didn't ask her to. Yes, we had something, but it was over. I chose you. You chose me after screwing her the night before our wedding? I nearly laughed. That's your pitch. It was a mistake, he said, shame flickering across his face. A goodbye that got messy. What we have is worth more than that. 2 minutes, I said icily. He glared. Fine practicalities. I need my stuff, clothes, files, my life. Being packed. Delivered to your parents. I'm not living with my parents at 35, he exploded. Not my problem. His face reddened. And the honeymoon? The jet. Cancelled. Book Maui yourself if you dare, I hear they're picky about guests. 1 minute, I noted as his jaw clenched. Please, Abigail. He softened, the voice I'd once loved now hollow. We can fix this therapy space, whatever you want. Don't throw us away. What we had was a lie, I said quietly. Your time's up. Marcus appeared. Mr. Hadley, this way. This isn't over, Nathan growled as he was led off. It is, I called after him. But the fallout's just starting. The Seaport Lux gleamed against the waterfront, a modern monolith of glass and steel. It wasn't a Warren property, making it neutral ground. I sat in my town car, staring at the entrance, debating Serena's email. Finally, I told my driver, wait here. 30 minutes. Dressed in a charcoal suit and my grandfather's gold watch, I bypassed the lobby's bustle and rode the elevator to the 5th floor. Room 508. 3 sharp knocks. Serena opened the door, her red dress swapped for leggings and a sweater, hair in a messy bunless femme fatale, more human. Abigail, she said, startled. I didn't think you'd come. Curiosity won, I replied, stepping inside. The harbor view was obscured by rain, a gray smear beyond the windows. 15 minutes. Talk. She sat on the bed, gesturing to a chair I ignored. First, I'm sorry for the wedding. It was cruel. I was pissed. 14 minutes, I said, glancing at the watch. She sighed. This isn't about hurting you more. It's about Nathan, who he really is. She handed me her phone, open to text threads. Our thing didn't start when he met you. It's been off and on for 6 years since law school. I scrolled, my pulse quickening. Messages predated our relationship, Nathan calling me the Warren jackpot, plotting to secure me while keeping Serena as backup. My stomach churned, but I kept my face blank. Why now? I asked, handing it back. Why not before? I tried, she said, voice cracking. 3 times. He swore he'd ditch you for me. The night before your wedding, he said it was our last secret hurrah. But something felt off, so I checked his email while he showered. He'd booked a trip with another woman, not you. Not me, for next month. Who? I pressed. Lauren Pierce, Thomas Pierce's niece at a rival firm, Kessler and Dunn. The name hit like a punch. Industrial espionage. He's been sleeping with women at competing firms for intel, I murmured. Serena nodded. It's his MO. He did it in D.C. Too, used a paralegal for case leaks, then dumped her when he moved here. She pulled a USB drive from the nightstand. Everything's her emails, texts, recordings, photos. Proof he's been gaming the system. What's your price? I asked, not touching it. Nothing, she said, setting it down. A peace offering. Do what you want with it. Why not take it to the bar yourself? She flushed. I was complicit. Shared stuff I shouldn't have, thinking we'd end up together. I was an idiot. The rain drummed harder. I believed her, the shame in her eyes was real. He's been hounding me since last night, I said. Begging then barking orders. Typical Nathan. Hates losing control. She hesitated. He's also broke gambling debts, big ones. Another domino fell, his push to merge our finances, his desperation for partnership. I stood taking the drive. Thanks, Serena. Misguided as your stunt was, I think you believed you were righting a wrong. You don't hate me? She asked, surprised. I'm pissed about your delivery, I clarified. But Nathan played us both. At the door I paused. What's next for you? DA's office next month. I resigned from the firm this morning. Good luck, I said and meant it. In the car I turned the USB over in my hands, a tiny bomb of potential. I called Victor. I need a discreet forensics expert. Got something juicy, he teased. Enough to bury Nathan. Meet me at your office. Victor's office sat atop a brick building in the financial district, a bastion of old-world charm amid glass towers. I paced the conference room as Julian Torres, a former NSA analyst turned private consultant, dissected the USB's contents. This is a gold mine, Julian said, eyes on his laptop. Emails, recordings, financials all legit based on metadata. Give me days to triple-check. What's the damage? Victor asked, peering over his shoulder. Career-ending, Julian replied. He's been betting rivals for Case Intel, Kessler and Dunn DC. Firms you name it. Ethically, it's disbarment. Criminally, maybe espionage if he sold client data. I leaned in, scanning a spreadsheet of gambling debts, millions owed to shady outfits like Bayfront Ventures. He's in deep with loan sharks, I said. That's why he needed my money. Victor frowned. This escalates things. If he's tied to criminals, it's not just his career at risk. Verify it all, I told Julian. Every file, every lender. By Friday. To Victor I added, tell Nathan's lawyer I'll discuss annulment terms but don't commit. I need time. My phone buzzed. Lila. Call me. Nathan's gone public. I stepped out, dialing her. He posted on Instagram, she said, voice taut. Claims he's the victim of a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Check it. The post showed us at our engagement, all smiles. Caption. Recent events have forced me to address rumors about my marriage. What should have been private has been twisted by outside forces. I made a mistake, but the narrative's exaggerated. I'm committed to fixing this with Abigail. Please respect our privacy. Truth matters. Comments? I asked, gripping the railing. His clan's rallying. Margaret's calling you unhinged. It's gaining traction. Leak this, I instructed. Sources close to Abigail Warren hint at a deeper story. Evidence exists, but details withheld. Keep it vague, stir doubt. Done, Lila said. Anything else? Dig into the Hadleys' finances. I suspect they're hiding rot. Back inside, I showed Victor the post. He's rewriting history. Predictable, he said. He's banking on your aversion to scandal. He doesn't know me, I replied. File the annulment, but hold the USB evidence. Let him think it's just about Serena for now. 3 days later, I stood in the study, reviewing Julian's report. Nathan's sins were worse than imagined: systematic deceit spanning years, compromising cases worth billions. I closed the folder as Elena announced, Mr. Pierce is here. Thomas entered, his navy suit impeccable. Abigail, you're holding up well. Looks can deceive, I said, pouring coffee. This is sensitive. I handed him the folder. His face darkened as he read, anger replacing curiosity. He's been sabotaging us from the inside, he muttered. Westfield merger, Castillo Patents major clients. I brought it to you first, I said. You deserve to protect the firm before it's public. Does he know? Not yet. If he signs the annulment quietly, it stays private except what you need for damage control. If he fights, the bar gets everything. Thomas nodded. Tobias taught you leverage well. There's more, he said, gazing out at the gardens. Nathan's father, Edward, didn't retire willingly. 6 years ago we caught him skimming client funds, improvable, but enough to force him out. We covered it to save face. The Hadleys' facade cracked wider. They've been bleeding cash ever since, I guessed. Edward's lifestyle outpaced his means, Thomas confirmed. Margaret's been selling assets discreetly. Nathan's marriage to you was their lifeline. I absorbed this, a mix of fury and pity swirling. Thank you, Thomas. As he left, my phone buzzed. Serena. Nathan's hitting up wedding guests, spinning his tale. FYI. Add a confidentiality clause to the annulment, I told Victor. No public statements without mutual consent. He'll balk. Let him. Every fight's a chance to flex what we know. Thursday, October 17th, I ambushed Edward Hadley at Oakmont Country Club. He was on the 14th tee, a lone figure in pressed khakis, his swing stiff with age and strain. Mr. Hadley, I called, approaching in a navy dress and flats. He turned wary. Abigail. This is a surprise. I won't waste your time, I said, stopping short. We need to talk privately. He set his club down, gesturing to a bench. Margaret's handling the family's response. Her injunction and press conference tomorrow? Mistakes, I said, sitting beside him. They'll amplify the mess she's trying to bury. He stared at the fairway. She believes in the Hadley name. I know about your retirement, Edward. The funds, the financial spiral, Nathan's debts. Margaret's fighting a lost cause. His eyes widened. How? Doesn't matter. What matters is your next move. Margaret's digging in. You can join her and crash or choose differently. What choice? He asked, voice weary. Nathan signs the annulment. You stop Margaret's legal stunts and press show. I keep your family's dirt private. He rubbed his temples. And Nathan's career? Handled quietly through Thomas. He's done in Boston, but he can start over elsewhere. Margaret won't agree. Make her, I said, standing. Or the Hadley financial mess is next week's gossip. I'll try, he muttered. As I walked away, Lila texted. Came in photos ready. Nathan with the blonde, cash-changing hands. Untraceable drop tomorrow. Hold until I say, I replied. Margaret's press conference loomed, and I needed all options ready. Friday, October 18th dawned crisp. I watched the sunrise from my townhouse, the TV humming. Margaret Hadley to address her son's wedding scandal at 9 a.m. Lila paced, prepping contingencies. My phone rang. Victor. Margaret's lawyer, Harold Kent, wants a meeting before the conference. Boston Garden, Swanboat Pavilion, 8:15. Neutral ground, I noted. I'll bring you. At 8:10, Victor and I reached the pavilion. Margaret waited with Kent, her navy suit sharp, her silver hair flawless despite the strain in her eyes. Abigail, she said, smile tight. Thank you for coming. Margaret, I replied. You know Victor Grayson. I assume Harold Kent needs no introduction. She nodded. This has spiraled too far. The press, the legal movesets hurting us all. You filed the injunction, I pointed out. You called the conference. Sometimes you threaten action to force talks, she said smoothly. I propose a deal. Nathan signs the annulment with a confidentiality tweak. We issue a joint statement, mutual decision. No wedding specifics. I dropped the injunction. And what changed your mind? I asked, sensing Edward's influence. Edward and I spoke, she admitted, a flicker of irritation crossing her face. He sees this differently. I smoothed my coat. Your deal's close, but it needs accountability. Nathan's statement includes an apology for his actions, vague, but clear he's at fault. Kent bristled. That could hurt his career. It's already dented, I said. Non-negotiable. Margaret waited, then nodded. Fine. And the foundation gala at Willowmere. Proceeds with me hosting, I said. You can co-host as board chair. A compromise she grudgingly accepted. Victor drafted the terms on his tablet, and by 8:45 we had a deal. Nathan's signature? I asked. Edward's with him now, Margaret said. He'll sign. As we left, I texted Lila. Press conference off. Stand down on photos. Well played, Victor said. You gave her an out while holding firm. She's saving the Hadley image, I replied. I'm securing my freedom. A month later, November 16th, the Willowmere Gala glittered with silver and teal. Margaret's ocean theme executed flawlessly under my oversight. We greeted guests as co-hosts Governor Langston, Thomas Pierce. The city's power players are rapport polished if not warm. The annulment was final, Nathan now in Denver at a small firm, a shadow of his Boston ambitions. Margaret and Edward planned a Vermont retreat, seeding Boston's spotlight. At the gala, Serena approached, now with the DA's office. "You've got grace," she said, admiring the night. "I'm glad it's over." "Me too," I replied, meaning it. Post-gala, I stood on the steps, reflecting. A week that should have broken me had forged something stronger. Tobias's voice echoed. "Finish what they start decisively." 6 months later, April 8, 2025, I stood on the balcony of the Warren Grand in Manhattan, Cabernet in hand, overseeing the Soho Hotel launch. The board had greenlit it, and I dined with architect Miles Carter Collegial, with a hint of more. Victoria's gift, a sapphire brooch, arrived that night, a nod to mutual respect. My phone buzzed grandfather's words via text from his widow, Clara. "Build legacies, not just buildings." I smiled, raising my glass to the city. Nathan's betrayal had cleared my path, not ended it. To underestimated women, I toasted, and the empires they create.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.